Hey guys, Mike with Diamondback Shooting Sports back to talk to you about a little bit of my holster journey as far as it comes to appendix inside the waistband carry. I think as like many people, I started off not really knowing what I wanted and trying a whole bunch of different stuff out. One of my very first holsters, I had actually bought this for it's for a Glock 19, but at the time I could not find a better holster for my Ruger SR9C, and this kind of fit in there. This is one of the very few leather hybrid holsters that I have. It worked pretty decently, but truly not my favorite platform just because of how wide it was. I didn't quite like the leather feel, and at the time I bought it, I just didn't know any better. A couple other ones that I've got here. So these were two of the ones that I had tried for some outside the waistband stuff. These were some type of Amazon brand that I had found and was just trying something else out on. They both kind of had the issue that most inside the waistband strong side holsters have, which is they sit really, really close to the body and make it very difficult to draw, which is kind of useful for concealment, not useful for actually drawing and presenting to a target. And then with that, they didn't do the concealment game super well either because they were on the strong side of the body, and for me that always results in the butt of the gun sticking out a little bit more. So like those. These were some other ones that I had tried. This was back when I was shooting Glocks primarily. I will say these are still some really, really good holsters. So your variety of different Safariland options, ALS, SLS, I still run a lot of different Safariland holsters, but this was another one where I was just like, okay, this is a great holster, not for concealment though. And then this is one of the ones that I had ran for competition. This is actually one of the better competition holsters that I had used for IDPA specifically. As an outside the waistband, it was super cheap, 60 bucks on Amazon, came with a belt mount. This is the CompTac International, since I didn't say the name before. Came with a belt mount as well as a paddle mount, and was a very good, just basic purpose outside the waistband holster. But anybody who tries to conceal with one of these, especially when they do the either fishing vest, come on guys, we know you're not fishing, or the boog shirt where it's the way oversized Hawaiian shirt. Now I love my Hawaiian shirts, guys. I'm not saying don't rock them, but come on. You look like you're trying to conceal like a golf course under your shirt or something. It just doesn't work. So unfortunately that wasn't gonna work so well. Timeout. This was one of the ones that I actually started to like, and I started to understand a little bit more about what I was trying to do with appendix inside the waistband concealment. This was a T-Rex Arms sidecar, one of the old school kind of sidecars where it was, you know, there's no flexible side here. It was one full unit. There was no real modularity with it. It was very uncomfortable to wear. Why was it uncomfortable? Well, because it's hard plastic against your body. At the end of the day, it worked pretty well. I learned some things about what I needed for carry. And this got me to another holster that kind of opened up my, okay, what do I really want out of a holster? One of the few things that was limiting on this one was with a light option, which I did have a light bearing version of this as well. It was massive. One, couldn't really sit differently on the belt line. It was very limited in what it could do. Had a very long, so it was an X300 that would push into my pelvis. It was incredibly painful over time. It was not something that I could drive with, which if you're going to carry regularly, you're probably going to be driving around. You need to be able to sit comfortably for a period of time. And unfortunately, because of the rigidity of this, it does not flex, so it's pretty much one piece. You just either are the right body shape for it or you're not. So that brought me to what was really the first in the right direction, step in the right direction. So this is my very first Tier 1 concealed MSP Pro holster. This is one of the original ones. It is not the Flex, it's the separated version where you have the mag carrier on one clip and 2 clips for the holster itself. Now, at the time, I was still kind of learning. I got the discrete carry clips, which are great clips, but they are spring steel and they tear your pants up something fierce. And at that time, I had to wear nice pants to work most days. So when I was doing that, it essentially meant that I was pretty regularly having to get new pants because I was getting holes in pretty obvious locations. So that didn't work super well, but it got me along the right path. Why did I like this holster when I was starting out? Well, it is a very modular holster in the aspect of it is a holster built around the light and not necessarily the gun. So that means that pretty much anything that I can put an X300 on, I could put in this holster. This was also where I started to figure out how do you actually make a holster comfortable. It's not just about where it sits on your body or what the holster body is made out of. You can actually add things that make it much more comfortable. So what you'll see, this mess on the bottom here, this is a whole bunch of what's essentially like puppy tape, where it is non-adhesive tape. It sticks to itself but nothing else. And then I've got some foam that I literally tore out of like packaging. I can't even remember where I got it, but it's pretty much just that closed cell foam that I cut strips of, slapped against this, and wrapped into place. At the end of the day, there's much better ways to do this, but this actually made carrying much more comfortable. You'll see I also did a little bit of some modification here. This was because over time I started to break this, so I needed to cover this spot up, make it a little bit softer on my hand so that I wasn't tearing up my finger, hitting against the side there on the draw. Some things that made this holster more comfortable for me. So it had a little bit more adjustment. So the clip heights there was more range of motion there so that I could turn the gun in a way that was comfortable for me. And then also the claw itself was much easier to adjust. I was able to push it out a little bit more. But the big thing that made it super comfortable, or much more comfortable than I was used to, was the padding on the back here. So that brings me to what is my modern iteration of holsters. So we have here, these are both the Tier 1 concealed MSP Pro Flex holsters. So with these, you'll see that the mag caddy is attached, and it is something that is a freestanding unit, but that is corded on. So with that, it allows for it to bend with the body a little bit better. After that, it is very much the same type of holster as the other one, but I'd gotten a little bit more refined in how I was making it comfortable for me. With this was the first Flex that I had bought. And you can see I've got a little bit of extra tape here that I put on to protect that finger that I was talking to you about. I went with the standard Tier 1 concealed clips. These are very good clips. I think the urge to upgrade gets a lot of us, and we see other options and we're like, ooh, I want to try this, ooh, I want to try that. At the end of the day, these are some of the best clips that I've ended up using. They clip well, they stick, they catch underneath the bottom of the belt well, they don't tear up your pants, they're flexible enough to get the gun on and off very easily. It is something that I can do pretty much one-handed if I wanted to, but really all I need to do is, as I'm inserting, pull the clips up a little bit and then they slide down over the belt very well. What is really important to me is actually on the back side. So we've got a couple things here that make for more concealment and more comfortable concealment. So I have the bottom wedge, which is slightly larger. That is for one, keeping hard plastic off of my pelvis, which is not comfortable for hours on end. So that adds a little bit of cushion against my body. But more importantly to the aspect of concealment, with the belt line here, the pad on the back causes the gun to tilt slightly forward, or to push slightly back. So with that, when you would normally put this on, you would see more of a cant forwards against the belt. I commonly refer to this as the AIWB tumor.
It's a tumor.
Because you see this big thing shifting forwards from the belly. It doesn't look normal. So what this does is this pushes the gun back against the body. See, leveraging underneath the line of the belt, the pad pushes the bottom of the holster forwards and the top of the gun against the body. So it makes it flat against the body. And then the upper wedge here, that creates a little bit of standoff. So what you'll see is that instead of this pushing the gun against my body like that, it pushes it against my body like that. So when my belly goes up, and no, it's not perfectly flat, I don't have abs or anything, it means that there is a little bit of space that is available, so that when I actually get my hand on the gun, I will have a better grip and be able to remove the gun from the holster more consistently. As far as my personal setup, where you will see this sitting on my belt, that is roughly the belt line. And when I put my hand on the gun, I can get all 3 fingers onto that as easily as possible. There's nothing preventing me from having access to the grip of the gun. I also have the gun slightly canted to the side, and that is just to make this a little bit more of a natural angle. If I have the gun perfectly vertical, you'll see that there is a steeper angle, so I need to cant my wrist really hard. So I have the gun just very slightly tilted to my strong side so that it is a little bit easier for me to get my hand on the gun on the draw. With that, I've actually also moved the mag carrier higher. And again, the reason to get the mag carrier higher is this is where the belt line is. So this allows me to get more of my hand on the mag in the mag carrier. And to do that, I actually had to move up these. But with this type of cordage, it's an elastic cord, it is very easy to unstring everything, move the piece around, and then restring it, and you've got a little bit of a tensioner back here. I tend to cinch these pretty tight so it doesn't flop around. I also did have a little bit of extra tying to do on the side pouch here because this was set up for more of a Glock size magazine, something a little bit beefier. My Walther magazine is relatively thin, so it was very loose in there, so I actually had to tighten that down a little bit more. But the way that that sits on my body allows for me to very easily access both the firearm and the magazine and have it in a consistent place every single time I need to get the gun out of the holster. With that, I did eventually get a second holster, which I will use for training sometimes. This is also just an easy way for me to have a backup because I hate to say it, guys, but yeah, these things break over time. So you might be able to see it, but there is a line here where it's actually cracking just because of use, because of how often I hit down upon that when I draw. So there's actually some cracking that's going on here, which is in the same place as I cracked the other one. Remember I had said I had done some damage on it, so I had to kind of fill in that area with some tape. The holster itself is still very sturdy, but the more you use it, the more likely it is to break over time. And I've used this one a lot with a whole variety of guns. So I had actually attended, if you're not aware, MSP is Modern Samurai Project, Scott Jedlinski. Attended one of his classes, I want to say it was about 2 years ago. Did really well in the class, won a bunch of the class exercises. I think there's a number of them that he does where you get opportunities to win different stuff. So this was one of the things that I won that day. It was an opportunity to get another one of these holsters, which I jumped at because it's a holster that I already ran. So that was really, really cool. And with this one, I pretty much was able to set up exactly what I wanted out of the gate. It mirrors exactly how I have the other holster set up. Now, I didn't use exactly the same materials, and this leads to a conversation on you don't necessarily need to go out and buy Tier 1 concealed wedges, although they are very good, and I do like Tier 1 concealed a lot, and I would certainly say that they should sponsor me someday, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But these work very, very well if you have the money and you can afford them, but if you can't, there are still other options for you to use. So on that note, on the back of this one, what I have is actually a torn up, cut up yoga block, a piece of foam, essentially, thick padded foam that I have shaped into a wedge. And then on the other side of it, I actually have, and you can see on the smaller one, I have well, there goes some of it, double-sided Velcro. The beautiful thing about these is double-sided Velcro is cheap, and so are these pads. But with that, I have essentially the same thing with much cheaper components. So this is very easy. You can buy some double-sided Velcro at any type of craft store, yoga block at any type of sporting goods store, probably end up spending maybe $20 or so and have enough foam and enough Velcro to put wedges on everything that you own. So with all of that, there are other ways to do this. One of the old school ways of doing it is taking an old Dr. Scholl's pad, the foot inserts, putting it against the bottom here. A lot of people would use that initially. I've seen people who have used beanbag material, memory foam material. A variety of different options are available out there. And if you look, you'll find a variety of different solutions that approach how do we make concealed carry for the appendix a lot more comfortable. But that's the only real significant difference on this one versus the other one, besides color and the amount of hours that I've used it. But it is set up exactly the same way so that I can transition between the two should I need to, or I can simply give this to a student if they are at a position where they need a holster, their holster is not working for some reason. So I have on right now the Tier 1 concealed, the T-Rex arms, the T-Rex arms sidecar. One of the things I wanted to show you is this has no wedge on it. It sits pretty comfortably when I'm standing, but as soon as I sit down, it gets pretty uncomfortable. This one is for a 19 instead of a 34, so the muzzle actually juts out into my pants. But the biggest thing here to pay attention to is really how prominent my grip is, how prominent the mag is, and then the magazine as well. So if I just let the shirt go and I stand relatively normally upright, like I don't do my tactical hunch over to prevent anybody from seeing that I'm concealed. If I just stand relatively upright, you're already starting to see a good line across there with the gun. It's the tactical shell for the tumor that we were talking about. So it becomes much more obvious, and then the comfortability long term, especially while seated, this is not going to work. This is going to be something that is going to be a struggle. If you want to stick with T-Rex arms, you're really happy with those, go with it. I'm not saying T-Rex arms won't work. I'm just saying this is the way that I figured it out for me with Tier 1 concealed. So as I put the Tier 1 concealed on, you'll see that it sticks to my body pretty well. And what's happened here is the belt has kind of been pushed out and creates like a false line of my waist, so that when the shirt goes over, it's kind of being held out. It's almost tenting just a little bit. And in that, I can stand relatively normally without any real visible printing to me. Even if I start to lean back, there's very minimal. You start to see some edges and stuff like that as I start to lean back. But as long as I'm standing normally upright, my shirt, for the most part, isn't I can't really see. There's some slight potential here, but for a casual observer, even from a side angle, it would be very difficult to really notice. Even if I turn over here to the side, yeah, you can see a little bit more of it. One thing I will always say is, you know, why a lot of people like the Hawaiian shirts, it's because the patterning breaks up the surface. So if you have something that has a little bit more of a pattern on it, these little bumps like that just tend to disappear. And really the only people who notice are the people who already know, the people who are likely carrying as well. So now what you'll see is that the belt line is creating this very flat front. I have a slight edge here where even with a magwell and an 18-round magazine, I only have a little bit of a bump of a protrusion there. I don't really see very much of the optic, and the mag is kept pretty well on my side. What does this allow me to do as well for my draw? Well, again, with the draw, I want to be able to get my hand on the gun in the holster consistently every single time. And what you'll see is that this is pretty much on my center line, right above my belly button. I'm sorry, guys, this was an X-rated show. I didn't tell you ahead of time. So it allows me to get that a little bit more natural grip. So I do tend to have the gun a little bit canted to the side, so this is a little bit more flat. You'll see that the gun is just slightly tilted off to the left. But that just allows me a little bit of a flatter angle here. The big thing is I want to be able to really just slap my hand against my body and get that full grip so that as soon as I do so, I can remove the gun from the holster and start to present it to the target. Then with the mag as well, I want to be able to get that full grip on that magazine as it is in the holster. I don't want to have to like dig in behind my pant line or anything else like that. Again, like I was saying, I've got this is the tier 1 concealed version of the Hunter Constantine belt. So definitely one that I recommend. What you'll see is that it's all elastic here in the back. That means that the back line stretches while the front remains a little bit more rigid. And this is one that a lot of people will ask is like, okay, so what happens when you need to pick something up? Well, the way that this is set up, it's very easy for me to bend over. Just bending at the waist is totally fine. If I need to squat, that's totally fine as well. If I bend over and pick something up off of the ground, any of those different things work just as well. Similarly, if I'm in the car, so I don't like working out, but if I'm in the car or doing anything else like that, it still sits very comfortably. And if I needed to, all I really need to do is I tend to put the seatbelt strap right against my belt line. And then should anything happen, it's still pretty easy for me to get to my gun even in a seated position. So when I look at a holster, I ask myself, is it something that will keep the gun in a place that I can access it every time, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing? Can I get my hand on that gun consistently enough to be able to draw it when I need it? Definitely consider this area here. I want to have enough space to be able to get my hand on the gun, and then with the mag as well, get my thumb around the back of the magazine to get that purchase on it. Now, with all of that, I want to take an opportunity to show off a new company that I'm playing with here. This is the Carry Concealment Bounty holster. So why is it called the Bounty? It's because of the Belt Bounty by Hunter Constantine. So that is a new cash prize that is available to competitors who compete from concealment with Hunter Constantine's belt. So with that, I haven't talked about it yet, but that's one of the belts that I use. I actually don't have, I'm not currently using a Hunter Constantine branded version. I'm using a tier 1 concealed branded version. But at the end of the day, it's the exact same belt. And Hunter has been well known to have really put a lot into his belt and in growing shooting sports with the kind of proceeds of what he's been selling. But but this is a holster that is oriented towards competition from concealment. So this is much more USPSA oriented, but it is very much set up in the same way that my other holsters are. The only thing that's different is this is a dedicated holster for the PDP steel frame match, and it has a slightly different mag carrier as well as magnets, which is pretty cool. But one of the things that I like about this one is the modularity. So what we've got here is a panel that allows you to put your mounted, either your holster, your clips, whatever it is that you have to mount on there, you can put it pretty much anywhere on that sheet. Also with the mag carriers, these are magnetic mag carriers. So what you'll see is that this is a 3D printed shell with some magnets in it. And I have it set up in a way so that this one on the outside is slightly taller. This is really not for concealment. Obviously with these, with the 24 round extensions that I have on here, this isn't going to look as concealed. But if I ran some smaller magazines, maybe tucked it a little bit closer to my body, I certainly think it could be run concealed if you wanted to. The magnet is quite strong, so I would be a little careful with that. When you get too close to something magnetic or something metallic, it will grab onto it pretty hard. But it's made for some interesting concealed carry practice, and is definitely set up to be a racing concealed carry rig, which is really, really cool. So with all of that, guys, a couple things I would recommend on when you're going through this process, when you're looking at the different holsters. What do I like about different holsters? So starting off, I really like modularity. So I like something that can be adjusted. I like something that has the ability for me to move stuff around into a position that is comfortable, because at the end of the day, if there's only one way of setting up that holster, that means it only really works for one type of person. I definitely recommend having some type of wedge, some type of comfortable padding type on the inside of the holster. It is very useful for keeping the holster flat against your body. It is also very useful for keeping you comfortable enough to carry the holster all day long. I prefer it to be high enough that I can get a full grip on 3 fingers underneath the trigger guard. I tend to have my thumb up over the rear sight, but as long as I can get this full grip on the gun in the holster from its position on my body without having to do anything weird, that is 100% ideal. I like having that claw where it pushes the belt line out and it creates a more flat front appearance so that it does not look like you're carrying, the giant concealed carry tumor on your stomach.
It's a tumor.
And then outside of that, it's got to be durable and last. And I will tell you, for the thousands of rounds that I have shot with this holster primarily, this one somewhat as my backup holster, and having these be the second and third holsters of this iteration from this company, I really, really like them. I think they're solid. I think they're very, very good. Now, that's not to say that there are not other holsters out there that work really, really well. Some recommendations that I would give you is if you're looking at holster setup videos, definitely check out the Filster videos. Filster has put out a lot of really good products. For me, I wear pants, so with that, I have a belt all of the time, and it makes it pretty easy to concealed carry, but that doesn't work for everyone. So one of theirs is their Enigma belt system, which is really, really cool. I know it works for a lot of women when they have to conceal carry and they don't have pants. It means that they can concealed carry with a skirt and a blouse or something else like that. Makes it a lot more flexible. You can certainly use the Constantine carry belt. With that, you just would essentially be wearing that underneath your clothes. I've done that a couple times with sweatpants or gym shorts, other things like that. Definitely works. It's one of those where it takes a little bit to get used to, just because it's not mounted on a belt, but it still sits in roughly the same place. And then after that, I for sure, mag position, you have to have the mag where you can get to it consistently, but it is still concealed. And then after that, I like the option of swapping lights and being able to run the same holster. I would definitely say if you're setting this up for a primary system, that is going to be the one that you're going to focus on. How does the gun sit actually on your waistline? The other ones are not going to sit exactly the same because grip angles are all different. You can see that the grip angle here is slightly different from the grip angle here. But at the end of the day, it will still work very well. I would recommend you take the time to set up primarily for the gun that you're going to carry the most. And then if you're not going to carry a light, then you'll probably run something that is a little bit more specific to your firearm. That's always good. One thing I didn't say about this is it does sit a little bit wider, a little bit more bulky side to side, just because it is built to fit a lot of different things, not just the one that I happen to have in it at this time. So yeah, those are a couple of things that I think about with the appendix carry. Feel free to throw any questions that you have into the comments. We'll get back to you and answer those as best we can. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about some more stuff as far as outside the waistband setup as well, more competition carry setup, duty carry setup. We're going to go through probably doing some gear reviews, some of the different things that I tend to shoot in matches, in my classes, things like that. But as always, do us a favor. If you like the content, leave a like, subscribe, share it with a friend, put a comment down there, whatever it is. You know how it works. We are all slaves to the algorithm. So if you can help us out, we'd really appreciate it because we love making this content for you guys and we want to keep doing it. So as always, I'm Mike with Diamondback Shooting Sports. Thanks for coming and check this one out, and we'll see you in the next one.